Welcome to the last episode of Joshua's story. But before we proceed, may I please ask you to subscribe to our channel if you've not done so. Thank you very much. Let's move on. The land of Canaan was now fully given to Israel. The tribes had received their inheritance. The wars were over, and the people had begun to live in peace. But Joshua, the faithful leader who brought them this far, had one final mission before his time came to an end. Standing outside his home in the hill country, with a gentle wind blowing, he looked out over the land thoughtfully. This is the story of Joshua's last days, a time of reflection, a time of choosing, and a powerful reminder that faithfulness is never finished. It was time for Joshua to receive his own portion. After every tribe had received their share, the people remembered Joshua, the one who had never asked for anything for himself. So, the leader from the tribe said to Joshua,
Joshua, choose the land you desire. You have led us well. Now it's your turn to rest.
Joshua smiled humbly and responded, saying,
I will take Timnath-serah in the hill country of Ephraim. That's all I need.
It was time for Joshua to erect his home. Joshua didn't choose the best land or the richest valley. He simply took what was given and built a peaceful life there. It was very necessary to build cities of refuge and Levite towns. So, Joshua made sure the cities of refuge were established. They were safe places where someone could flee if they made a terrible mistake and needed protection until a fair trial. Signs were placed at city gates, and priests explained the rules, saying,
If someone causes death by accident, they can come here. No one can harm them until the truth is known.
Justice matters to God, but so does mercy. The next assignment was for Joshua and the elders to assign cities and fields to the Levites, the Israel's priests. The Levites didn't receive a tribal land like the others. Instead, they were given towns to live in so they could serve the people and teach God's ways. After helping their brothers to fight, it was time for the eastern tribes to go home. These were the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh, those who had settled east of the Jordan. So, Joshua addressed them, saying,
You have obeyed the Lord and stood with your brothers in battle. Now you may return to your families with my blessing.
He lifted his hands and prayed over them. The people smiled and began their journey back home. But before they crossed the river, they did something unexpected. The eastern tribes stopped and began building a large altar by the Jordan River. Seeing this, an Israelite scout ran to Joshua and reported it, saying,
Joshua, they've built an altar. Are they turning away from the Lord?
So, Joshua called for a meeting with the eastern leaders and addressed them, saying,
Why would you do this? Will you now bring God's anger upon us?
One of their leaders calmly responded to Joshua, saying,
No, this altar is not for offerings. It is a witness, a reminder for future generations that we serve the same God as you, that we belong to the same people.
With that explanation, Joshua nodded and smiled in agreement. Then he said to them,
Then let this altar be a witness of peace, not war.
It was time for Joshua to join his ancestors. So, he chose to bid the people farewell. Time passed. Joshua, now very old, knew his time was near. He called the people together for one final speech. He raised his voice and addressed them, saying,
You have seen all the Lord your God has done. He fought for you. He gave you this land. But now, be very careful to love the Lord your God. Don't worship the gods of the nations around you. If you do, trouble will come.
He walked among the crowd, looking each tribe in the eyes, and continued by saying,
Not one of God's promises has failed. Not one. He has been faithful. So now, you must choose.
Then it came to time of the covenant at Shechem. Joshua gathered the people under a large tree beside the tabernacle. It's peaceful, holy, he further said, passionately.
If serving the Lord seems hard to you, then choose today whom you will serve. Will you serve the gods your ancestors worshipped, or the gods of this land.
He paused, then pointed to himself and continued, saying,
But as for me and the house, we will serve the Lord.
The people shouted in agreement, saying, We will serve the Lord too. We remember what he's done. Joshua, smiling, responded, saying,
Then make sure your hearts are true and write it down. Today, we make a covenant together.
He wrote the law on a scroll, set up a large stone under the tree, and gestured towards it, saying,
This stone will be a witness. It has heard every word you've spoken, so let it remind you, never turn away from God.
Joshua, now at peace, sat outside his home, viewing the land, homes, crops, and the terrain. Soon after, Joshua died, at the age of 110. He was buried in the land he helped conquer, and as long as the people remembered him and remembered the Lord, they followed God faithfully. Joshua's final words still echo today. Choose this day whom you will serve. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Joshua, chapter 24, verse 15. And that was the life and times of Joshua, the servant of God. Thank you very much for watching. And if you've not subscribed to our channel, please do well to do so. Also like the video and share it with your loved ones. Have a nice day, and bye for now.